Once again, just play this Corki, try to play either side of the Senna. I do worry about what it means for trying to get ahead. I'd rather see T1 play something a little bit more aggressive, to be honest with you, Atlas.
Yeah, I think especially playing through the bottom lane with something a little bit more aggressive, and there is the center ban that you were talking about. That is going to be the adaptation here, as last time it was a Jinx ban that was the final one. Nico going to be taken off the board here as well.
Great ban here.
And there is the Kalista lock-in. What does it mean for how this draft is going to play out, though? What is the answer for Humble Life Esports? Because this is exactly the adaptation we were looking for.
Varus, and maybe even you just go straight into the Talia here as Zeka, if you feel confident that you can play it blind here, deny it from Faker, because these types of drafts are exactly what I was looking for T1, where you grab the Kalista early. Kalista Nico's been super strong, even if it's Faker playing Nico in the mid lane. They love to play those Nocturne drafts when they're playing the Kalista, so really smart adaptation here when they see the Senna ban to ban the Nico away. The Talia I mentioned will be Zeka's answer, as they're just not going to allow Faker to make that roaming impact to the bottom lane. And I think Hanwha Life have a similar read on this series as I do, and that T1 wanted to pick up the Talia here. Now they're going to outrange the Kalista, that is to say, in the bottom lane. We'll see what the plan is going to be for support here. We've seen a lot of different stuff from Keria specifically with the Kalista. Yeah. He's even played the Kalista support himself. Kalista Rumble.
Kalista Rumble could actually be the lock-in here. We do see the Rumble lockdown. We see the zoom in onto Keria as well. And that is Lissandra being considered here by Faker, something that can very much help with locking down that single target and really giving them some mid-game strength in this game as well, as Faker is just having a bit of fun with this here, as we can see. Rek'Sai a consideration as well, and will be locked in. Blind towards that top side. We'll see what Doran can actually do as a response, or whether they even can, because Nautilus, if they want it, they have to lock it in here.
Yeah, and I think that they very likely just grab it. Obviously into the Rumble, you know, you can lock the Rumble down if he tries to push you under turret, and then the turret will be enough damage. Nothing really out-damages Rumble's Flame Spitter except the turret.
Yep.
And so if you could pull the Rumble into the turret and just defend those dives with the roots that Nautilus can set up there, I think it is going to be what Delight wants here. As now with the Rek'Sai coming through, we know this is almost 100% confirmation the Rumble will be support, as you know, otherwise it's Rek'Sai jungle to come through here, which has not been meta for quite some time. Now they get to focus on Faker's champion pool here further in mid. I mean, not his pool, but champions he would like to play with this composition. Anything that has follow-up engage would be fantastic. So Azir is gone, the Nico is gone, they took the Talia away, and Orianna already banned. And there's not a whole lot left here in this meta right now that you'd want to play. I mean, besides the Lissandra, which they may also just ban, which I think would be wise. Otherwise, maybe an Ahri pick here.
Yeah, I was thinking Ahri could be one of the options for Humble Life Esports to take away, but Lissandra, we have seen Faker use that so incredibly well in the past. And you just have to remember that he does have, like, even though he hasn't played that many champions, he's had some one-offs here and there, but it's mainly been about 4 or 5 that he's focused on this season.
Ooh,
we know that Faker does have them in his back pocket.
They're considering that this Rek'Sai, you know, I mean, the Rumble rather would not be...
The Rumble in the jungle?
Yeah, it could be. It's definitely possible. Another pick I feel like that works really well with T1's composition that we haven't talked about is the Annie. Pretty tough to play into Talia, but one that Faker has pulled out quite a lot.
Yeah.
As Genji, you know, have really kept it pretty standard in terms of their draft. T1 like to change things around quite a bit, and Hanwha Life just aren't ready to trust. They'll ban that Renata away. So strong in all-ins into the Nautilus. They just don't want to give them that flexibility. And they're going to go even deeper on the all-in with this draft as well with the Xin Zhao.
There is a Jax lock-in, so we're still not entirely sure as to where everything's going. Gwen? Gwen?
No, this can't be real.
Yeah, that would be weird. I was thinking like, oh yes, Gwen. But no, don't really understand that one. And Faker with a wry smile as his Ahri is going to be locked in. One of his favorite picks historically. He's been fantastic on it. And does mean that T1 have really pivoted away from what have been late-game drafts to far more mid-game focus. This really does feel like their bread and butter because they've been so good at snowballing leads. As Doran onto his Aatrox here. That is his attempted answer into the Rek'Sai. We've seen it before, and we're not super fans of the Aatrox into the Rek'Sai. Of course, Rek'Sai debuted in this matchup.
Yes. I like the draft here from Hanwha Life Esports. Now, I think obviously this game is not about the draft purely. It's going to be about how much T1 can get done in the mid game with this composition. The Kalista Rumble lane is going to be very powerful, but the Nautilus here is actually, even the Ahri is going to struggle into this Nautilus later on that Delight has once again gotten his hands on here 3 times in a row in this series. Doran also will just pop the Rumble instantly, pop the Ahri instantly with this late game Aatrox. So a little bit concerned here for T1 once again.
Well, we'll just have to see how it goes, as ladies and gentlemen, we're on the Rift for game number 3. You'd hear a little bit of the desperation in the T1 voices as they made themselves heard in the fan chants here at LoL Park. And I think everyone kind of just wants this series to continue, because the level of intensity in both of the first 2 games has been extraordinarily high. And T1, I feel like this kind of pivot is exactly what they need. More early game pressure, early power, and especially here for this bottom lane. Keria and Gumushi have been so good in the past, and we'll see whether they can utilize this laning phase in order to find the advantage once again.
And of these 3 drafts, I feel like this game has the potential to be, and I think it will likely be, a very one-sided game. Just simply because either T1 get it done in mid-game or they don't. And there isn't really a, oopsie, we'll scale though, it'll be fine later on. You either win super hard or you don't get big enough advantages and Hanwha Life just crush you in the late game. And I don't think it's going to necessarily be that kind of knife's edge. We're looking at like 9 kills to 9 kills, 26 minutes, anything can happen kind of game. But I do think this style of gameplay is exactly where T1 are most comfortable. And that's why we were kind of hoping for a draft like this from them here in this 3rd game. Glad to see they delivered.
Well, Keria not going to quite find the first harpoon there, as we could see, as Delight once again moving into position. This game of cat and mouse between these 2. Very impressive. All right. Viper going to throw the hail of arrows completely away, and finally, Keria does manage to find himself a harpoon onto Delight, who's now just going to walk towards him. Does find another one here, and it looks like T1 will regain control of the bottom lane. Something to be expected.
Such a silly situation where Delight, now he knows he has the shield first, which you always will in this matchup, unless you want to just all in into a Rumble and die. He's like, all right, well, I'll just keep harpooning you. Now you're out of the brush. Yep. And Delight is just pressing shield when he can. A little bit of a mini game down there, as this win rate, we've seen this go both ways. It's been discussed a lot. I personally really like the Ahri into the Talia, but doesn't always work out with the rocks on the ground.
Ow! Viper taking so much damage here. As you can see, Gumushi with the Hail of Blades, probably going to be the more lethality-based version, so very deadly in the early stages of the game, as now Peanut has been found by Owner. Does do a fair bit of work, but you can see Peanut looking for a little bit of a turnaround. When Becomes Lightning does come in, as Zeka will have the inside track here on this particular battle. Blastcone comes on over, there's the flash forward, and Owner locks down first blood. Immediately it is answered, and somehow it's in fact Peanut that locks down the kill. And there is first blood, but an assist going over to Hanwha Life Esports, so the gold is dead even.
Yeah, I guess red buff is how that kill went over for Peanut. That's really unfortunate there for Hanwha Life. Either way, more gold in their pocket picking up that assist. I really like that Owner was able to identify quickly, like, I die no matter what, so I have to guarantee this kill onto Peanut there as soon as Zeka came over, because he's going to have fast track. He can surf his way over there, and obviously they're on his side of the rift there on red side, so Zeka comes over there and does help grab that assist. Would have felt amazing for Hanwha Life if he actually picks up the kill, a big trade down, but still, Owner's going to have that first blood advantage. Yep, not going to feel too terrible about this one.
It is still going to be Peanut with a few camps in advantage. Owner is going to be able to take down this Rift Scuttler, but the Gromp is now going to be secured by Peanut. So he heads up to 24 in comparison to the 16 that Owner has collected. So still, Peanut winning out as far as the farm battle is concerned. Now going to be having a little bit of a look towards this mid lane. Faker using the very last of his mana, and Peanut just going to taxi his way through. And we'll head up towards this Rift Scuttle on the top side of the map.
Delight is just using his W to tank these harpoons, and while they've been zoned out of a decent amount of farm here, we have seen much larger Rumble Kalista, or just in general Rumble lane advantages than the one that we're seeing here for Viper, and Delight handled this extremely well.
Well, Doran just going to miss a few Qs here on Zeus, who utilizes the tunnel very, very nicely. Zeus is, like everybody else, been just spamming Rek'Sai in solo queue. All of our top laners making sure that they have it all down.
It's going to end up being a fairly boring matchup to watch unless Doran is hitting all of his abilities.
Yep.
And when he hits none of them, it just kind of ends up being a wet noodle fight.
And even if he hits all of them, Rek'Sai goes underground and everything's fine.
Yeah.
All right, we are. That's a weird time to go into a replay, but here we are in a replay.
Here we are. So Peanut does have the red buff here. They're both burning each other. And you'll see the moment Owner realizes, okay, I have to actually go for this play. Will, of course, flash follow onto Peanut. If the timing is a little bit better there for Peanut, perhaps end up getting the kill there before he can react, but Owner's never going to mess that up.
Yep.
And he ends up getting first blood, so really nicely played by him, all things considered.
See here, Carrier is hit by a rain of arrows, and I was just checking to see if Summoner Spells is okay. Peanut's coming on over. There's the flash forward as Carrier does so much damage. Peanut's burning down! It's a 1-for-1 once again, but I don't think Peanut was expecting to die so instantly.
Didn't have flash from the previous play, that replay we just watched. And I think a lot of players really underestimate the rumble damage in the bottom lane. We've seen this so many times because generally a support offers you a little bit of CC or like a small amount of damage when you go for these types of ganks, but rumble will actually just hold Q and point towards you and kill you.
Yeah.
And it ends up being Gumayusi who actually picks up that kill, which is massive here. If it's actually just a rumble getting the kill, that's still decent for T1, but the fact that it goes over to this quickly becoming lethal Callista here as it's traded back to Viper is still pretty significant. Now, T1, small gold advantage. This has kind of been the story of all of these early games. This one, our bloodiest yet, but still, small gold advantage for T1. Let's see if they can get anything out of it.
Yeah, it's been even trades almost this entire game so far. You can see 1-for-1s represented by the 2-2 at the top of your screen. So no one really able to find any big advantages as Hex Flash being utilized here by Carrier, having some fun on the bottom side of the map. Viper and Delight going to be able to get rid of this vision. So we're going to see this once again as Peanut just opts into the barbecue.
So Carrier has the scrap shield and actually opts to flash in to make sure he can maximize that damage there. So he is actually at the heat required to do the damage that's necessary in order to kill Peanut there. Just really good reaction from Carrier. Without his really nice play there, obviously this ends up being a disaster, but yeah, if you're the Rumble support, you've got to know those timings, you got to know your damage. Carrier absolutely aware of it.
Also uses the flash to dodge the hook at the same time, so it's like double duty. I think maybe he was going to flash in anyway, but really nicely done just to get double value from the Summoner spell. As in this mid lane, very, very even. On this bottom side of the map, it is still control picked up by T1. That control ward, the siege minion, unfortunately not going to be collected here by Viper as Owner walks over a ward. But still, T1, even though it's not going to be a successful gank with a kill or anything like that, should still be a lot of zoning being done. Plate will go down as now Zeka is going to try and mitigate it as the flick back onto Carrier, who doesn't have his flash. The hook gets in the way of the minions though, and Zeka, he has to flash to get himself out of dodge. A dangerous situation as Faker is clearing out vision here as well. He is very dangerous with Spirit Rush available. There is an equalizer, and Zeka, he's down to 100 now underneath this turret. This is so dangerous as now Carrier looks to come in. He is definitely, never mind, the Fate's Call comes on down. Viper is burning, and Carrier is able to lock that one down. Zeka was free food there under the turret, and that's going to be lapped up by Faker. And finally, they get a kill advantage.
Yeah, T1 with a huge swing of gold here after this play, and I mean, the key of all of this is the Weaver's Wall just stops a little bit too short. Owner?
Yeah, there's another hook. It's going to connect there. They don't have a lot of damage.
No, he should be fine. He's got ult, he's got Counter-Strike, he has Flash. He's not worried about anything. But the fact of the matter is, without Delight there, Viper just can't be under turret. And you could see that the wave was stacking up because Viper was waiting for Delight to come back. He's just not going to be able to get it done without him. He didn't have level 6 Delight for that skirmish, which is really important in this moment. And the Weaver's Wall comes up short, and then Carrier is just like, well, I ult them, and then we can kill Zeka really easily. The Fate's Call timing here is so good as Carrier just hard forces the maximum amount of damage he can realistically get done here. The Ignite goes down as well. That is the
and he actually opts into dying.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
That was a very weird move.
Not entirely sure what that was about.
Yeah, missed that one entirely. His hook is going to go wide. Carrier able to avoid it. But I think that as far as that play is concerned, Carrier dying to the turret, Huni would be very proud. because that is just pure aggression.
No fear.
Yeah, he just wants to go in, and he's not worried about whether he lives or dies. That's 100% true. Is now Gumayusi going to help out with these Ren stacks, as Owner should be able to deal with this. Is now Peanut going to get dove on, has to flash, get out of the way of the Rumble as soon as that first harpoon lands, especially with the fact that he has his Sork boots now completed. This is hook on top of it.
This is the best early game T1 have had in these first 3 games.
Oh, yeah.
And it is a huge gold lead for them now, 1,300. They stacked that first dragon. It is not going to be a Chemtech Soul. We were able to identify that now too. It's going to be the second dragon here, so that feels really nice. And that bottom side play got them such a massive advantage. I mean, look at the CS as well, still massively favoring Guma here, 15 up. Viper not able to do anything back in this lane, and Faker is just constantly putting the pressure on here. It's never really a fun feeling to play into this Rumble lane when it's actually working, once it's starting to get ahead. The Weaver's Wall from Zeka on that last play, if it's longer there, if he had a level 11 Weaver's Wall, or if he's able to get there a little bit faster, maybe they make something of it as Viper.
Yep, he's going to have to walk down the red carpet. There's a flash in, as once again they've got Fate's Call, and so he can freely do this. The hook is going to go wide as Ona is once again back, and the leap strike will lock down the kill. And now Delight is trying to grab one back, will be able to do so as Carrier will help grab some plate gold. Weaver's Wall going to come in as well as Zeka. He came from the other direction. That's absolutely insane. As now Peanut diving on in. Wind becomes lightning. He's going to do a fair bit of work there, but Carrier still able to create the distance to get himself out. And T1 not going to find the charm as Wind becomes lightning comes through once again. Peanut closes the gap as threaded volley. Faker does have to use that charge. And they will be able to make it out to safety. Still, Zeka able to push them out. Will be able to get a plate possibly after this as well. Oh, never mind. Not quite, although might be able to get it on the next wave.
Probably so, as Viper is able to get mid lane as well, so he's able to come over here and farm these minions up. Going to be a while before Guma can go match that, or Faker in this case.
Oh, dear.
Peanut stayed.
Yeah, Peanut, he's still here. Gumayushi's at full health. They're still going to go for this dive. Threaded volley is fantastic. There's the seismic shove, and Peanut, he wasn't going to die to that one. They'll take the plate, and they'll take the kill.
And Viper gets a plate mid. No answer from Faker, who had to teleport to make the play happen in the first place. And what looked very good for T1 initially ends up being a great play for Hanwha Life. And, I was watching this moment going, okay, well, this is pretty doomed. I don't know if Hanwha get anything back, but Delight has some really nice plays here as well, is able to get the root, and then obviously the ultimate is really fantastic from him. Guma has to heal. It's not enough. And then on the follow-up here, okay, we're going to skip a lot of the Zeka shenanigans. On the follow-up here, Guma is just dead, and his jungler is heading back topside, as they just expected Peanut to back. They didn't really have any idea. I mean, obviously, the Sentinel does see Peanut, but after it's too late.
And man, the value of Talia, you'd put rocks underneath the Callista and then put a seismic shove where she wants to go. There were not a lot of good options.
No, there's like almost, I mean, there is literally nothing you can do in that situation.
Maybe just like regular walking, but no Callista really wants to regular walk when you can do your martial pose stuff. Oh dear. Still, Gumayusi is very strong. 1, 2, and 3, and is still ahead by about 10 CS. Opportunity now done. Ghost Blade is completed here for Viper though, and does have Swifties to avoid getting slowed down by these harpoons and dying immediately.
Viper, okay, hold up, Zeka?
Yeah, Charm is going to miss. Flash is going to come on through for Zeka though. So good work here from Faker to keep the pressure up. Flash advantage now secured for T1 in mid.
This lethality build for Callista has been so popular, and it has been quite strong, especially if you have map control and you're winning really hard. And they certainly were in the early game, still have an advantage, but I feel like Viper is just going to be better poke Callista because he actually has range, and he is going to be building lethality himself. And once you get to the point where the Varus is going to start really hurting in these fights and really chipping away at T1, it makes even the Ahri's life more difficult to play these fights out. As when we peel up to here, I'm always like, is somebody hiding in the brush? We have all vision on.
Speaking of hiding, Charm is going to connect onto Peanut here, but the Weaver's Wall is going to come on down. Faker does get out of the way of the rocks, but he's just going to get taken out. The flash was already used, and he's just going to die. And now we're taxiing over to Gumayusi, who's also taking massive damage. Peanut locks that one down. It's a double as the bottom lane evaporates, and Ona is trying to get something back. Does take down the Varus, but the threaded volleys are chasing the Jack through. Still the empowered one not going to connect as Peanut Peanut flashing in. Okay, I'm not sure about that one, but the threaded volley will save him. And Homo Life Esports find a big team fight.
Yeah, it's a 2-for-1 here coming through, but at the end of the day, the fact that Zeka picks up that final kill is massive. Peanut is getting so big in this game, and even though his flash play looks like a bit of a whoopsie, it helps Zeka secure the kill, so he'll take it in the end. And man, all the wind is out of the sails here for T1 now, who find themselves nearly at a 2,000 gold deficit. It's a 4,000 gold swing, more or less, here after these last two plays. Bottom side into the skirmish mid, as Peanut's just lurking here when Faker goes to ward. Half his health bar is gone. I mean, he's got Sundered Sky so early that Xinjiao is not messing around, and the Rumble ultimate here just isn't enough to zone. Fate's Call attempt here from Guma is pretty cool to maybe see if that knockup is going to be the one to turn the tides, but the damage is just gone.
And the W empowered Q damage from Viper just tearing apart this bottom lane.
But then Peanut...
And this is weird, but thankfully Zeka was there. Was almost a leap strike in power, and it was just doomed as okay. Hook gonna connect on to Carrier once again. Chains of Corruption pretty powerful as well, as they're now just right in the back of this pit. Peanut gonna be taken down first though, as Zeka comes on in finally. Carrier keeping himself alive for so long, but will finally go down. And it's a 2-for-1 again here for Homo Life Esports, but Faker closing in. Gumayushi still here as well. Charm going to land, and Faker just pops like a balloon. Delight has been a god today, and that's not going to end in this game. He has the Titan's Wrath, and Zeus, nothing he can do 1v4.
Delight is just insane. The guy just knows how much he can do, how much he can take in terms of damage. He has no fear. And I cannot believe T1 let this guy have this champion 3 times in a row. His knowledge has been so fantastic. 10 out of 13 KP right now. And these skirmishes are not going T1's way, but they need to fight early. They need to get tempo advantages. They've already lost control, so they're just kind of indexing into, we better win this fight. And Peanut, Crescent Guard isn't great here. He takes a ton of damage, but he also tanks so much damage that the fight is already won. Kuma has to flash because he loses out on bottom side. And at this point, Carrier is just trying to buy time. They end up picking off Owner, and these fights are never going to go T1's way, unfortunately, in these moments. And then Faker's like, hold on, I think we might have one more chance of this, because again, they have to win these fights early or the game ends. And then Delight just says, absolutely not. Gets the shield here, denies Guma. And that is that. And that may just be the first step to the end of this series. The fact that Hanwha were already taking back control was one thing, but that last fight almost feels like, even at 17 minutes here, the last nail in the coffin. T1 in massive trouble. The Callista that they draft Pyoed here with the Rumble sitting at 1-4. The Rumble beside her, same kill score line.
Oh, the hook is going to connect. Chains of Corruption do come down though, and that is going to spell the Fate's Call out from Gumayushi. Now Carrier not going to be nearly as aggressive. It's only 17.5 minutes into this game, so no Barons to talk about just yet. I was thinking that because we're around the Baron pit that maybe that was going to be the situation, but no, not to be the case. Is now Doran. He's going to go back to base. He was also pretty pivotal in that last fight, but I'm going to have to hold that thought as the Weaver's Wall comes in. Seismic shove, throws back Gumayushi, but no rocks on the ground, so he'll be right for now as the Equalizer comes in. Lots of value, but the hook out from Delight, and he says no to any sort of re-engage. Speaking of re-engage, Shelly is still getting annoyed at Peanut, and is once again going to reset.
Guma avoiding that shove is massive. Didn't have to flash.
Oh, Charm gonna connect, but it's Delight. He's still taken down to half health, as of course, he is not the center variety of the Nautilus.
Certainly not. But man, Atlas, I mean, these fights, these skirmishes are not going T1's way. The Charm connects, but it's onto a tanky Nautilus who has Merc Treads. He just doesn't really care. Homo Life Esports is going to take this Scuttle, the mini Baron. You know, you were like, oh, we're going to Baron Pit. It does feel like they have taken that much control over this game. And the fact that Viper is sitting at 4 kills, 6 assists here, is about to be an item up on his counterpart Guma, who did have huge advantages after the initial early game with the Rumble push. Just wild how much swing Hanwha have gotten in this game.
This is going to be a bit dangerous for Doran, who's going to try and umbrally dash away from Zeus, and will just be enough. Worldender is going to be employed, and so that means that they at least get something for their trouble. The Faker roaming up towards the top side doesn't get too much value.
Oh, it is Infernal Soul. You know, we've been talking about all the action here. We knew it was going to be a better Drake than Chemtech, but...
All right, scary. Looking a bit scary. But too much else going to be found in the outer turret in mid lane. Will just go down.
And what I was going to say about the Infernal is just that I feel like that's maybe one way if you could stack that early here as T1, you could give you some longevity in this composition, but I think the control is already lost. I don't know if they get to stack any more dragons. I don't know if they ever get another dragon in this game, and that's the scary thing, but at least it is somewhat hopeful that perhaps maybe with one mistake, one great charm, and to a Jax Counter-Strike, somebody's out of position, Viper overextends. There's a way back into this series, a way back into the beginning of the reverse sweep.
Yeah, it's possible. They've also got the 2 Drake buffer, so they don't need to worry about Soul coming through for an extra 10 minutes in comparison to what it could have been. But with an early game composition like this, it just doesn't feel fantastic to be this far behind. And we say this far behind, it's only 2.5K, right? But when you're staring down the barrel of Taliyah, Aatrox, when you have the Rek'Sai and the Kalista and the support Rumble, right?
You're supposed to be more than 2K ahead at 20 minutes if your comp is winning. And they're 2K behind, as you say.
Ooh, Colonel Kane's going to pull back Zeus, but he tunnels. And Delight not going to be able to find the hook for that reason.
I mean, this Rumble hasn't even gotten the Leandries at 20 minutes. I mean, that tells the story of this game.
Ooh. Peanut hunting for Keria is now the flash forward from Delight. He's just going to press the R button onto Gumayusi, and the Weaver's Wall is going to get the flash out. The Equalizer comes down just to slow them down, but oh my god, the damage from these Qs out of Viper. Charm is just going to be avoided here by Doran, who's going to turn it around, gets the flash out from Keria, and Ona has to leap strike his way out. They are running for the hills, and Humble Life Esports do get control of this dragon.
First Infernal Dragon will be theirs here. Really flashy way to start off and guarantee they get this prio. No kills go over, but it's very successful. T1, there is no way they are going to be able to take this turret. They put only a small dent in it. Whoa. That's going to be the cross map, you could say, for the Dragon. And flash down on Guma, flash down on Keria. These are scary things to hear if you're a T1 fan when Aatrox is on the loose. And we mentioned this in the draft, the Aatrox against this very squishy composition, especially the Rumble support who has to try to clear vision against Hanwha Life is never what you want to see. They're going to be able to grab this bottom turret here as well. This Aatrox getting larger by the second. And Hanwha have been so good at controlling their leads. So every time they get a lead, their vision control has been so oppressive.
Ooh, bit of an interruption, but Zeus is still going to be able to make it towards his bottom side. HLE not going to get punished. Her gold is going to go to the Nether, or to the Void, I guess. And inner turret is secured on this bottom side. That gold lead ballooning for Hanwha Life, now over 3,000. And Hanwha are just moving into their jungle. Okay, there's a seismic shove onto this. Rek'Sai does try to get on top of Viper, but he's just not low enough. No execution available. Immediate teleport from Doran gets him towards his top side so that there is no cross-map play to be had. And man, Hanwha Life Esports came to play today.
And you can just feel the desperation out of T1.
Another one as the Q connecting. Keria just going to get wiped out by Zeka on his Taliyah that's starting to become one of the champions in his wheelhouse. Wolf, we mentioned that he's been so improved on this pick, and it's once again proving true.
Hanwha Life, I mean, they're playing around him so beautifully. Yeah, the Weaver's Wall on the bottom side play earlier wasn't enough. It was so close to being enough. But man, he has just improved so massively, and with the vision that Zeus had, it looked like a good call there. Perhaps he thought Doran had already teleported topside, or maybe he had back there. It looked like maybe it was a good play, but he's trying to find any angle he can right now. Same with Keria here. He's just fishing for maybe I have the damage, maybe owner collapses with me, because there is no other way back into this game but to then find a hard-forced pick into Hanwha Life. But if Hanwha Life keeps stopping you, your chances get slimmer and slimmer every time you miss them.
Oh dear, Peanut finds owner one more time. Wind Becomes Lightning will not find the mark as the Weaver's Wall left a little to be desired. Is Equalizer going to come down to protect the teleport? Still, Delight just straight up does not care about that one. Peanut also getting taken down relatively low, but that double knockup was too good! And now Faker is having to get out of there. It's not going to work out. Still, it's a fair bit of damage, but it is not enough. They are too strong. Still, into the backline goes Zeus. Zeka able to find a lot of damage onto the Rek'Sai, and he shouldn't be able to get out. Still, those couple of kills onto the bottom lane could be important to try and keep T1 in there. Still, it's going to be the ace, and it should still be the Baron for Hanwha Life.
I don't think anybody would have predicted. A lot of people predicted Hanwha. There were no 3-0s. There were only 2 3-1s for me and Chronicler, but nobody would have walked into this series, not even the most intense Hanwha Life fan.
Brave enough to commit to the 3-0.
But no one would have expected this was going to be a more one-sided series than Hanwha and Kwangdong. And I mean, Kwangdong had bigger leads than T1 had in their early games where they had advantages, and Hanwha Life are just rolling over T1. And yes, this game state was bad, and it has been bad for the last 10 minutes, so nothing T1 does is going to look good, and the lead is just going to continue. But you can't just give up a Baron. You have to come over here and contest. And Hanwha Life, with their composition, the expiration date for T1 was so long ago, and you can really feel and smell the stink of what this comp is going to look like. 7,000 gold behind, 24.5 minutes in. The Baron goes over to Hanwha Life, and they are just stacking these Infernal Dragons.
Yeah, 1 minute and 20 seconds on that second one for Hanwha Life Esports if they would like it. 2.5 minutes still left on the Baron. T1 now with only desperation plays remaining, really, is what it feels like here. They know that the expiration date has pretty much been and gone on this composition as far as needing to get advantages. Still, there is always the death brush. There is always the try to wait for Hanwha Life Esports to make a mistake, as Zeus, he is going to have a little bit of attention here, eats the CC as he tunnels his way out. But now still with this minion wave bearing down on the top inner turret, it is likely they're just going to be able to take this one. Equalizer does come on through, doesn't do a lot of damage to these minions as they're baroned up. And the flash out from Carrier as, all right, Doran, I'm not sure about this one, but still, he pops the World Ender. He's going to go down, but Carrier should follow suit. Zeus gets back underneath his turret. Faker is just in the side lane trying to get them whatever bounty gold they can find, and it's working because the Baron power play has gone down.
Yeah, he is actually staying here as well. Zeka's going to come over to deal with him. Really like the trap they set up there for Doran. Ends up taking him out. Took a long time because lethality Aatrox is no joke.
They might also be able to find themselves a dragon.
Yeah, they might be able to. Now,
okay, there's an interruption on Zeus. They're buying time to secure the dragon, which they are going to be able to do.
Yeah, at the cost of their inhibitor turret here, as Zeka is also pushing mid. One dragon here, if it was Infernal Soul, you'd feel pretty good about this. It's just really going to feel like bounty gold, and the threat of an Infernal Soul fight, Hanwha Life aren't really concerned about here in trade for inhibitor turrets. And a kill onto Zeus, as they're actually just going to get the whole inhibitor. T1 trying to set up the flank.
Yeah, Zeker in trouble. He's going to get charmed up. It's a lot of damage out from Faker as the flash has to be employed. Still, Hanwha Life Esports are continuing to push. This Nexus turret taken down to 50% health, and Weaver's Wall will get Zeker on over. So 5 members of Hanwha Life Esports now in position, but they do want to back away. Karyushi does get his shield broken. Qs are hitting their mark here from Viper, and they'll get themselves a Nexus turret and an inhibitor turret, and the inhib on the top side of the map for that Baron power play. 2.5k.
The Seraph shield there coming up big for Zeka as he does survive here. This is a really cool trap as they know that Doran is rotating over here. There's not a whole lot of vision here for Hanwha Life, so Doran just kind of walks his way into this one. Blast cones in, has to flash away while Faker is getting that bounty. So the idea here for T1 is to maybe trade 1-for-1, grab some gold bounty, then push for the dragon. But Hanwha Life, they don't choke. They don't actually hesitate. They don't mess this up. They don't play slow. They're like, oh, okay, well, we can't match Faker there. We can't stop the dragon, but we will get the inhibitor. And since you don't have Infernal Soul, this is definitely going to be worth it. Zeus unfortunately just did not know the light was sticking around and will die for his trouble, but at least buys time for them to get the dragon. Problem is, without him, there's no defense for the inhib. And now this Nexus is missing a turret, and Hanwha Life just give no quarter in this series.
They really don't. I think Viper and Delight actually almost strategically stood still to avoid getting seen by the Tremor Sense. And so Zeus kind of walked into his death there. It was really, really cute play around the mechanics of the Rek'Sai. He does have 3 items. He's very tanky, but Hanwha Life Esports, they are looking to take down this inhibitor turret, and every auto from Viper is so scary. Still, Equalizer does come down. Chains of Corruption go wide. But still, how did T1 approach? There's rocks on the ground. There is so much poke available here as well, and there's a hook that's going to connect. The charm lands onto Viper. Zeus gets into the backline as well, and Viper is going to be taken out. Delight is extraordinarily low. They take down the Rumble, but T1, this is the best fight they've had so far, and Gumayushi is still untouched. Doran trying to get some work done, but he goes all the way to the side. Oh my god, never you mind. This Aatrox is too big, and he's just jumping all over the top of T1.
He missed a lot, but it doesn't matter. He's lethality Aatrox, and he won't miss the autos. And once he gets on top of Guma, he takes him out there. Great fight for T1, all things considered. They thinned out the wave with the Equalizer. They focused down Delight, even with his arm guard there.
That's a lot of tunnels for Zeus here, as Doran, he doesn't quite have the longevity in these fights that Zeus has, but he does have a lot of minions inside the base.
And that last Nexus turret here gets very low with Carrier respawning. Even he is going to struggle to clear this one up. Down it goes. So now it's just an open Nexus here. Alma Life fans let out a huge cheer. And once again, Peanut's got his hands off the keyboard, knowing that this one is basically just about dotting his I's and crossing his T's here. As Delight's engage here is a little bit suspect, but remember, he's able to flash and kill Faker, and he has the arm guard, and then the disengage here from Peanut is fantastic, but ends up getting himself slowed here under turret. Doran, he misses a lot. Zeka is a Talia trying to brawl against this Rek'Sai and Jax, but immediately, or not immediately, ultimately, Doran, despite missing a lot of abilities here, will just auto-attack his way to victory.
Yeah, gets a bunch of resets with that World Ender and is able to just flap his way around. This, yeah, I mean, the Aatrox is now 5-1 and 6.
It just doesn't matter if he misses or not. He just eventually kills you.
Yeah, like, hit them with your buttons and your auto attacks and stuff like that. He's got the Profane Hydra. The 3 items that he needed have been completed. Cyrilda's now done as well, as now Life Esports getting to work on this Baron. My God, it goes down so quickly. The wall is put in the way of T1, and there's nothing they can do about it. Life now with another Baron ready to push down on an exposed Nexus, remember. Faker loses a third of his health bar just to 1 arrow. And doesn't find the charm, as Delight will find the hook onto the Rek'Sai. Not exactly an optimal target. And now Peanut, he's going in. Equalizer goes down. Gressengard, my God, this damage is disgusting. And Life will just get rid of the bottom lane immediately. The knockup comes in, the prepared seismic shove. And yeah, that Void Rush not going to be enough to save the Rek'Sai this time. And Life, a 3-0 over T1 in round 2 of playoffs. T1 will now have to face off against D+ Kia in the lower bracket.
A very, very decisive and one-sided series here.